Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Manor Lords' perfect Peninsula campaign. Today we're building a bridge, because nothing screams civilization like a glorified plank highway over water. We'll need lots of boards, so cue the Urukai vibes, because these trees are coming down. And over here, we're going to be looking at starting some farming, and checking out more bridges, because what's a peninsula without like at least two bridges? We'll also be focusing on logistics of getting firewood over here in the future. I want to preface this by saying that firewood and water are the two things that people have to travel to get. So we'll be using overstock mechanics to place firewood within the confines of the city, make things a little bit more logistically sound. We'll also be gearing up for war, because in the medieval age, it is a clash of steel, and the thunder of cries through these fields. The kings will rise and fall, banners will burn, and the soil will drink deeply of the blood, and our trees shall grow on this foundation of misery. Now, there's a little bit of combat in this game, and we do need to be prepared for it, so we'll be going into how to make some bows. So, away we go. Another thing that I want to do, because we are going to need an absurd amount of boards at this juncture, is get a secondary logging camp up. I'm not going to use this for anyone to work from, but it's the only building that can store logs. So what happens is, if you only have one logging camp, you hit 28 logs and then they just stop working. But if you have an extra logging camp like this, they'll fill that logging camp too. So you can spam logging camps in a way to effectively increase your storage. But yes, we will have our woodcutter's lodge here, we will have storehouse for firewood here, and we'll use an overstock feature to ship it from this location to this location. That is one really interesting thing now about the overstock feature and logistics, and just understanding that you have to use the overstock feature if you want them to overstock a market stall, and we'll get into what that means more when I do it. But this allows us to preemptively load areas with those oddball scenario resources to make things a little bit better. We also have a nice area over here, but I don't know if I will build a bridge over to it. I want to have minimal bridges. We're going to have a castle here. The bridges will give us an area that we can fight from, and away we go. So we are getting these two burgish plots up over here, and we're also getting this church up. Everything is in great order. Once we get the bridge up, we're going to go into a brondo, and we might end up doing multiple brondos. Now, I have a whole guide on how to do the brondo on my page. I have a whole guide section, should be the second tab if you're interested in more information. It's going to be pretty big. I also have another design I'm working on, which I'm calling either the Flexo or the Hive. The Flexo just does sound funny, but it is basically a hive because it is veggies, apples, and honey all in one thing. One of the issues, though, it is rather large. So I would like to showcase it, and I would like to get us set up in a good way. Unfortunately, what I'm going to need is quite a bit of tiles. It's actually a square. It has 8 plots of 0.8. It's a little weird, and it's a concept. I think I can improve on it, but I really like it. And if I were to put it here, I think it would do us well, because if I put it here, then I can put another rondo right here, and we'd still have room on the sides for housing up against the waterway, and we'd still have room for an industrial little hub here, because I think a lot of industry, like we could actually put firewood storage right here, so they're going and getting the wood, and then the market stall has a much smaller distance. Also, this stall over here could also have firewood in it too. So there are a lot of really good options. I'm very excited about the prospect of what we can build here. But we're going to need wood, we're going to need boards, and we're going to need a whole lot of other ox named Larry. And no other oxes with bad names. What happened to the good oxes? The Bartholomews. Oh my god. What an awful name. But the shrines are up. The wooden church is going to be our next highest priority. Now keep in mind, they have to move the boards by hand, and they have to move the stone by hand. So you'll notice I did not build 2 granaries or anything like that. You have enough stone to build a granary and a church on the normal conditions, which is what this is. This is just a normal game, normal rules, nothing fancy, nothing weird. Well, there's a couple things weird about this village, but nothing within the game rules, at least. But yeah, be really careful that you don't mess up and try to build like 2 granaries, because then you'll have to get stone to get your church up. Now we're at 55% because of the food market variety bonus and the lack of homelessness. So that's really good. You can see we're at +2 now, even though we have a market variety of 100. So having extra varieties did seem to actually, like having that third variety of bread does still seem to give you a higher bonus like it did before. Having firewood just prevents people from being cold. The next bonus that we're going to want, of course, is the tannery. So we have a tannery here that we can put into play. What I'm kind of hoping to do is do kind of a little mixed industry area. All the storage is over here. That's fine. We have people who can work here and there. I want to have all of my farms kind of lining right here. The farmers will have to walk a bit of a distance, but the workers will be fine. There is a thing, like, to make an entirely efficient city, I would just do the Shield 2.0. But the new maps want you to be creative. And so what we're going to do is create something creative, and then I'm going to show you how to make it just as efficient as the Shield design by using the mechanics that are in the game now. The amount of control that you have over things is pretty insane. All right, Grovar has its first perk. We are instinctively going to get orchards. And I believe now we have our spear. So when you get the storehouse up and you get your first 5 burgage plots and you get your rank, you come here and you click on the spear militia. There you go. You get 20 spears and 20 shields. I just don't have 20 people who can fight. Now the second thing that we're going to do is look for bandit camps. Once we hit 20 pop, we can take a bandit camp ourselves with only losing 1 to 2 people. Or we can wait for the Baron to march out and try to take the camp, and then we can steal it from him. So we're in good shape. We have about 1 year to prepare ourselves. But if we can take a bandit camp out, we can get mercenaries, and we can do all types of stuff. Now this is an interesting map, because over here we have a wild berry and salt. Rich. We have rich salt over here in the best farmland in the game. This would be a good place if we can trade meat for salt and go into sausages. I typically don't like to do this, but I'm seeing a pretty good synergy here. And we need a place with the best farmland to make a barley trade station. We are most likely not going to be able to get all the barley we need from trade simply because of pathfinding issues. And if I go to a high population, at least the mules, which could be located pretty much around here, and then we can have the storage for barley here. We can try to shorten the distance, but we could get a lot of barley out of this region right next to us. That is another fortunate thing. I want to go for a high population, and I want to also test the bounds of food mechanics, which is something that people have been asking and requesting, is to say, hey, show us a city that can get all these foods. And now that you can use any of the food groups that you can gather to meet the 4 food type demands, it means you can actually build bigger cities. And it also means that every food matters to an extent. It depends on how you organize things. So I'm going to show you what I would do, and you can take from it what you want and throw out the rest. Best way to do things in life, just take the good, throw out all the bad. All right, we're going to upgrade these 2 burgage plots. We need to get our available space up. I probably should have left one of them up. But we do have a church now. So the Lord has come to the city of Grovar, and the people are happy. I don't know if this is what happy people look like. This man is looking down at his job. I mean, he's focused. Yeah, he doesn't look happy. He looks the opposite of happy, which I think is sad. But we got these cool religious shrines to remind people of their crippling oppression. So I'm sure they will cheer up in due time. So let me see what we got going on here. We got 30 planks and 11 logs. I am going to think about my next course of action. Yeah, I think that getting a tannery up is a good idea. We can dial in some of these things later. And remember, I do not want to place these things too close to these animals. They get all freaked out over here. So let's be a little bit mindful. But right here is a good spot just because it's so close to the storehouse. So I'm going to bring a road down this to give everybody kind of a cut path into this nice little area here. We're doing great. We got our food stall and our common stall in this area. Once we get the clothing up. Now remember that the common goods stall now is firewood and clothing. So it can hold 20, which means up to 10 burgage plots will hold 10 one market stall will hold half and half. So you can if you just do a big pit like this, you don't have to use as many market stalls. But if you want to have your storehouses and granaries really dialed in, you're going to have to factor that stuff in. And I'm not going to overwhelm you with data right now. You're just going to have to continue watching me, or watch one of my 10-minute guides where I do have a case-by-case example. But for the context of the episode being fluid, we're going to just address these things as we do them. So we got one extra space. We got our other family in. We're at 9 families. This is great. It's October, and we're at 9 families in the first year. This is actually probably one of my better starts. I am starting to... the 2 food type granary rush seems to be pretty successful. And then from there, you go into firewood, and then you go into your church to just hold the bottom line. Now that we have the church here, we see we got, even with a bad food variety bonus, we got a church +1. And we have lots of meat, and we have lots of berries. We took the individual out of the forester because we didn't need it. We're going to focus on getting all of these individuals up and going into trade. Now, the trade post, I think that this would be an almost lovely place. So I am almost tempted. I am almost tempted to think about this. I think trade post, we have the road going this way. I want the trade post right here. That way there's the industry section up here has access to the trade post, and then everybody else over here has access to the trade post. Because it's going to be a doozy. We're going to use one trade post. I would not put too much stock into how trade post mechanics are currently working, because it's going to be completely overhauled. But I will just tell you right now that you really just want to have one trade post if you want them to buy your goods, because unfortunately you can't determine what goods are sold at a trade post, so they sell both. And now traders come into a region, they pick a random trade post to go to. So if you're selling fish, one trade, and you can only stock 50 of goods between trade posts. One trade post has 5 fish, one trade post has 45. It goes to if it goes to the one with 5, it buys those 5 fish and it takes off. So I've found just having one trade post, focusing on 3 goods, it's led me to 3 to 4 goods. Depending upon if you're making 50 units a year and you're selling out of it quickly, you know, we'll go into that more, but just focus on a few goods in one trade post and you're going to make a fortune. If you do too many trade posts, you run the gambit of the RNG gods, where they go to one stall and buy a small quantity of goods rather than the trade post with the largest quantity. And maybe they'll change the AI, right? Let's put an individual in the tannery. Maybe they'll change it so that it prioritizes the one with the most. All right, we're also going to upgrade our storehouse immediately because we're already getting full. And let me start planning out the first bridge, because we do need to get the trade post up. And I would very much like to align the road here with that trade post. Yeah, this is perfect right here. All right, we're going to put the trade post right here. Beautiful. This is going to be a nice little equilibrium between the 2 regions. And we also got it on the King's Road, which is not necessary. The traders will go to you like a GPS guided missile. But it is kind of nice just having it on the King's Road, to be honest. For nostalgia's sake. Like the good old days. That used to be what you had to do, but you can place it any road, don't worry. I know old habits die hard, they say. Okay, so we have 18 timber, 33 boards. I'm gonna increase the amount of board. No, 500 or 100 boards is more than enough. All right, we got another family member. We're at 10 pop, and we're at tier 2. Okay, so now we have the ability to rush into tier 2 to get passive money on top of trade. I am going to do this because I would like to get the wood church upgraded as fast as possible. But we're going to go to tier 2. We'll get 1 wealth per family per month, and that will really help us get to the next step. We also need to produce dramatically more boards. So we're going to go into Operation Orakai, where we just take down the whole forest in this area because we just need an absurd amount of wood. And we also need We also need more ox. So I know I said I was going to save it for the veggies, but I'm realizing now that my goals are a bit ambitious. So let me place a couple here. I like having things at a midpoint, so I'm going to place a couple of those guys down there. We are going to order our third ox, and I'm going to up this. Sometimes you just, like, you get a better idea, and you're like, you know what? Now that, because I wasn't counting on getting passive regional wealth this early, we'll have enough to get veggies. Also wasn't counting on having a trade post up. Now one woodcutter is more than enough to get your fuel reserves up. So you're able to start selling firewood pretty early. I typically don't need more than 1 or 2 firewood cutters now, depending upon the size of my village. But we have a passive wealth, and we're going to start selling firewood here momentarily. Okay, we're looking very good right now. We got our ox, we got our post. Okay. You don't want to play that too much by the wire, because if you don't get a hitching post up fast enough, the ox will run away. So we have 3 ox now. We're going to buy 1 more if we can. But having that third ox and then waiting until we get our regional wealth up is great. I typically would already have veggies going and all that right now. But with the hive that I'm about to show you, or the flexo, we're going to have more veggies than we know what to do with. Potentially. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's speed this up just a tad bit. I like this. It's like a Jesus fish looking thing, but it's a little deformed. I don't know. It's like art. And everyone might see something different. I don't know. What do you see? Like, it doesn't look like anything, sir. The villages really start to take shape when you hit the tier 3. The tier 3 houses really just make the place look less like a dump. Okay, so now we have apples. So the next logical step for me to take is to unlock beekeeping, right? Because that way we have it and we can get into it once our population starts going up. Meat is something we're going to refine over the long run. But I want to be able to get as much food as possible. All right, the tannery is now up. So we can click on our marketplace and see if the storehouse needs anything. Granary house, no. Food variety will get up there. Okay, it is now time to look at what we're doing. We're going to put an individual back into the forager hut. No, we have 114 berries. I take that back. Let me look at animals, 20 out of 40. So we, unfortunately, have no animals to hunt, so there's no point in having anyone in there, even though I would love their tasty meat. But we're going to have to let it go. Alright, everything is running really well. We're at 11 families. We are completing the orc army in record time. Currently have 32 timber, 6 planks. We need 40 timber to get across here. This is going to be a grand project, and it's going to take away from a lot of the efficiency that we're building towards, but it's going to be worth it, and it's going to be cool. We're going to get a woodcutter going again, because we do need to start accumulating wood to sell. Very good. I could see that the ox cart was obeying all traffic laws. I do want to make sure that I have roads going between my farms for that reason. I want it to be clean. I want it to be cool. I also like the way that roads look going through farmland. Once we get all the farmland up in here, this place is going to look magical. It'll be great. All right. We should probably also, if we have the potential to, yeah, we do. Let's start gathering all of this stone over here at some point. So we're going to need all of these resources to advance. We're going to need the stone, and we're also going to need this clay. And so we should just get these guys here so that when we're ready to start collecting those resources, we don't have to go that direction, since people are just kind of sitting around. Woo, that was fast. All right, we have one open spot for individuals to move into. Let's take a peek once more. Okay, we have a pretty defined area where we want to put houses. So we're going to do, yeah, this is great. So we're going to do one little Mickey Mouse smile. We're just going to kind of do this like loop-de-loop. I like it. I don't know why, but I do. I think it's going to look neat at tier 3. It will look a lot better. Okay, so we want double burgage plots with backyard extensions. Well, right here we have unusable terrain. And have ourselves a nice little square right there. That way we have that area sectioned off. This is our little industrial area. Alright, bandit camp was sighted. The Lord is not moving on these bandit camps. They did change behavior, and we do have a lot of camps. So I guess it would be wise to show you guys the way to take a bandit camp out with your forces in case they patch it out, which is a possibility. Or they don't want you to, you know, have an easy time in this game. Very likely possibility. We're going to go to war. For some reason we only had 19. There we go. Got glitched for a second there. Alright. We're going to go to war. And then what I want to do in these back parts here, I'm trying to make this look nice. Like, there's one thing about this game is that the plots all start kind of like, you know, meshing together after a certain point. And you only have so many decorations. So yeah, we're going to go on a beautification spree, as I'm calling it. And then we're going to circle the road around this. And that's going to look kind of... I think that's going to look a lot cooler than just a dirty little road. There we go. A little bit better. Okay. I've given my men something to do while we go out and kill. So we're going to talk about combat and what you need to do. So the stand your ground ability basically absorbs the charge of the enemy. So you'll want to have stand your ground, and then once you're engaged, you'll just double right click, which will put you into push forward mode to do damage. That will result in the least amount of casualties. We'll do that now. Another thing is, let's watch our fatigue. Let's get everything up. If I can pull the outlaws, they have about a 50-50 chance to stay in their camp, then follow you. But you get a bonus for fighting in your region. So if I can snag them, that would be ideal, is to bring them back into our base. So I want to get their attention. Okay, we got their attention. Unfortunately, running back would leave us with no stamina. So we're going to fight. I was hoping I could get them and I couldn't. If you have the ability to, you should. We're going to fight to the best of our ability. Surrounded by trees once more. Get on the road and see if that helps. Still surrounded by trees. Alright, well, we have to make do with where we are. I messed up. Moving downhill gives you a bonus if we were to charge. Our fatigue is going down. We are in stand your ground. Pausing the game, another ruler army was sighted. They're all the way over there. They're going to go to the next bandit camp. We're going to allow them to take out the next bandit camp. I typically do wait, but I actually did want to show people how to fight, how to look at their skills. We're still going to be fine. All right, here they come. Once they all are here and moving, we're good. Now we're going to push forward. We've absorbed the charge. They didn't hurt anybody. There's not really much more tactics to this than letting them slug it out. We lost one individual. We're probably going to lose two individuals. Two individuals have been lost. If you do poorly, you can always anticipate to lose two individuals. But that's okay, because we're going to get this bandit camp for money. And then the second bandit camp we're going to get for our treasure. And we'll be able to hire people, a mercenary group, to defend us from the bandits. So we don't have to rush or do anything that we don't want to do. Alright, we have about a year. I'm going to send the money to our town at first. 188, not bad. And we're going to wait for the king's army to get up here. He's currently marching from the south. And then with that money, we can do lots of cool things, like probably buy another ox. There we go. We got our stones. We got our stones around the houses. I actually do think that looks pretty neat. It adds some flair. Okay, we're gonna get one more ox. We have our woodcutter. We have 5 free families. Let's dial all this in. We're going to start trading firewood. And we're gonna do anything over 250. We're gonna buy the trader out for 3. It's a good one. It's gonna serve us well. Eventually we will buy a horse, put a family in the trader, and upgrade both these hitching posts. We'll put a horse in there eventually. We're going to lose our second food type, but the church is going to sustain us. We're going to put an individual back into meat. We have 45 planks and 76 timber. All right. Yeah, that's looking great. We're going to let them build up these houses now. And let's upgrade all the houses we can. I'm going to put one family into collecting stone and one family into the clay deposit. We're also now going to get up a temporary clay furnace. This really can go anywhere because we're going to destroy it eventually. But we need stone to produce it. We're going to start gathering the raw clay, gathering the raw stone. And the first thing we want to do is upgrade our small church. Getting everybody up to tier 2, getting a lot of money. And let's go back up to the military. So they're coming in. All we're going to do is run in and steal it from them. Sometimes the bandits won't leave, so it could get a little tricky. We're going to have to run in while they're fighting and steal it, which I've done before. We're going to have to run in. They are not going to leave the camp. This is a new feature. They did this so that people couldn't steal from the king. However, I've still been able to do it if I can get close enough. It's possible that I won't get this because I just wasn't fast enough. Yeah, I was not fast enough. That's okay. So that's funny. So what we're gonna have to do now, so that's a new feature. I think it's actually kind of good. I'm screwing up in some regards because it just shows you, you know, the game has changed, and we can, you know, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. We're gonna be fine. I have solutions to pretty much all my problems. So the next thing that I want to do now is get the manor up. We're gonna do that before anything. Well, we can create the manor and then delete it. One thing that I would like to do now, since we will have to fight, is get a tier 1, a single level burgage plot up for the production of bows. I'm going to do that right here. I do not want this to be double because I do not want 2 families dedicated to bow making. There we go. So we'll get this bad boy up. Start making bows right off the bat if we can. We need to get all the families in. So this will be an additional family. Upgrade these guys. I'm going to hold off on expanding the living space because I want the family to move into this house before we do anything like that, because we do need to get bow production going. Upgrading the granary could be to our benefit, but we're going to hold off for a second. Band. All right, we're pulling back on all the units in the logging camps. We're going to continue gathering goods here. The large storehouse is doing wonders. Marketplace needs 1 additional granary worker now. We're going to put that in. I'm actually going to upgrade the granary. I think we're going to start pushing pretty fast here. Burgage plot's up. Once we can get an individual in there, we can upgrade it. But yes, we will need to start preparing for conflict. We're going to get our manor up. It'll give us retinue, and it'll also give us the ability to start taxing people. Okay, we're going to purchase a horse. Sometimes you are better off going with putting money into your merc pile first and then going for the town money. Because at least with the town money I can trade and I can do all that stuff, but it's a little bit harder to get money for mercenaries, but not impossible. We're in no means in a bad position right now. And then the next thing that we're going to do, which is the whole point of this episode, is to get the bridge up. We need 45 planks. Okay. A lot of lumber. I'm going to put 2 people in the saw pit. It's supposed to be working better now. I'm also going to order additional ox when I can. Let's get these people going. All right. We need to put 1 individual into the forager hut. And as we can see, the cheapest merc company is 15. Won't be difficult to get once the manor is up. tier 2 this burgage plot, and then we'll get bow production going. I'm going to get a clay furnace right here. Also going to get additional board production going right there. Should be okay. The animals will just stay a little bit of a distance, but they should stay within the circle. But we're going to need a lot of boards. Large granary up. Lowers our spoilage rate. I think it goes from 3 to 2% basically, but I mean that does add up. Clay furnace going, get the church going. This building is now upgraded, so we're going to turn it into a boyer workshop. When it's upgraded, we need to go back in to the advanced tab and change it to bows. It defaults to crossbow, which I really don't understand because we don't have the ability to make crossbows yet. Although, if we were forward thinking and we had an economy, we could just start doing it. We probably actually will just buy the metal and start making crossbows. But first we need to establish our economy. Boyer workshop is up, so in order to make a crossbow we need iron parts. You can make iron parts yourself or buy them. We could either buy crossbows or iron parts, but these things are rather expensive, so typically buying the base good and commodities like... I'm sorry, I meant your crafting material like iron slabs. Trade route's going to be pretty cheap. Now if we go for something specialized like iron parts, we have to go, you know, that's actually not too bad. For now, though, we're just going to make as many bows as we possibly can. And we're just going to put a production limit of 40. And that's so that we have 40 bows on hand to replenish any dead soldiers. Let's also get the men there so that they start arming. Okay, clay furnace is up. We're going to start making clay tiles. Need 15 stone over there. We currently have 39 stone, 300 firewood, 38 clay. Even upgrade that, and we should definitely continue to upgrade all our buildings. We have a very good passive income. Once the manor is up, I'm going to start taxing people, and if we can get 15 monies before the next raid, we can actually summon someone in to help us and easily take the enemies. We don't have enough. We need 6 families to get all the berries here, but we're fine. I have plenty of food guides if you guys want to know specifics on that, but we'll get into the setups when we have the population for it. Right now, I'm just trying to prepare us for conflict. All right, we have 55. Here we are, the bridge. I like that. Here we go. Bridge is done. Cool, they didn't even have to build it. All right, so we have a bridge and have a road. At the beginning of the next episode, I'm going to show you my new design, and it is called the Flexo. So this is actually a good place to end everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you want me to continue this series, and have a great rest of your day.